provider. Welcome to the MS&Me Radio Network. The broadcast shows are for informational and entertainment purposes only. They are not designed to provide listeners with specific personal, medical, or counseling advice. Individuals with a medical issue should always consult their healthcare provider. MS&Me is not responsible for content of individual shows. The views expressed by show hosts or their guests are their own. Enjoy the show. Welcome to MS&Me Interviews. Today we are doing things a little bit differently. I am your host, Erica Lyons Richardson, and we have a very special interview. We recently celebrated International Women's Day. We are witnessing the rise of the Women's March, Time's Up movement, and our MS&Me Ladies Only Forum on Facebook is quickly approaching 18,000 members. They have their own race car driver they sponsor in the SRA Gen 6 series, and it's the dawn of a turning point for women who no longer feel silenced and refuse to be seen as less than. You know, I often like to begin with a quote from our guest, and I quote, "I just want to give them a voice," end quote. Our guest today is Theodore Trainor, also known as Teddy P, an unlikely hero in the women's movement to all but his late mother and his beautiful daughters. A comedian and a car salesman, Teddy is now devoting his time to improving the quality of life for single mothers. Welcome, Teddy.
How are you?
I'm good. So glad you could join us today. Now, Teddy.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate that.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Pleasure to speak with you today. Now, Teddy, please share with our listeners a little bit about your early years growing up.
They were tough. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I was born in Germany. At that time, my mother and father were together, and then they got divorced. I think when I was like maybe 2. Left Germany when I was 1. Ended up in Pittsburgh with my mother, just me and her. And she was my ride or die woman. That was the only woman that I had. So it was me and her for a long time, and I went to grade school there and played a lot of baseball and hung out a lot. And she worked 3 jobs, and it was something. But somehow she never relied on a man to get her out of a situation.
Yeah. Yeah. So you learned that early from her, and that independence of women, that strength of women when the chips are down. Now, you also later went into comedy when you got older.
Yeah. It was I was with a woman at the time, and she said, "You're so funny." She said, "Why don't you try to go on stage?" And I said, "No, absolutely not. I'll never do that in my life." And there was just happened to be a bar in Fayetteville, North Carolina, where I stay now, and I went in there and they had an open mic, and I did well. And I said, "You know what? That was all right. I kind of got to take out my frustrations on everybody. That's nice." And they clapped. Cool. I'm going to keep doing that. But it was fun, and it still is fun, and I still like doing shows. I do them all the time. I mean, and it's fun because if I can, the purpose of my comedy too is, and this was even before my mother passed away, was if I can make somebody smile that day, then I'm kind of doing my job. You know, like you don't know what happened to any individual there, or you don't know what kind of day they were having. Like somebody may have just died and they've been in the house for a month, mourning, and that was their night out, and that's the purpose of my comedy. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. I talk about real life stuff.
And even if that's all your purpose is in life, just to make other people smile, I mean, what a purpose, And now, do you think your most exciting gig was when you opened for Nick Cannon in Charlotte? What was your biggest one?
The Wildin' Out was with Blurpy from Wildin' Out. It was a show actually. misconceived and got it. It was in Fayetteville, at a place called Skeeters.
Oh, was it?
And he was. I mean, there's so many different levels to comedy, and when you get to a place where you're really comfortable on stage and you can say whatever in front of whoever, and then laugh, it's funny. And he was a great inspiration. He's a good guy. Spent a lot of time. He did a lot of stuff on MTV. I got to work with Richie Hector and Trainor, and a lot of good people in Charlotte. Yeah, it's fun, the people you meet, because they got real life problems like everybody else.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun. And my mother, she never got to go to a show because she was always in bed and sick, but I'm doing something coming up in Fayetteville that I will keep you posted on.
Oh, yeah.
Once I know the details.
We'll definitely post those
really
details.
Good show.
That will be amazing.
Yeah, in her name, and it's gonna be big. I just got to get it together. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, it really is. Now, your mom did recently pass with COPD, so not only did she have, struggles in life there toward the end, she really did struggle with COPD. And I know that most of us who know you personally, one of the things that is really burned into everyone's memory is your care for her there toward the end, and you just love going on go lives on Facebook like a lot of us. Something really special was caught there on one of the go lives with you and her toward the end, and you shared with everyone her last words to you. What were those?
Well, it was to a point where there was nothing as a man I could do at that point.
Yeah.
There was nothing I could do. The COPD got so bad that the doctor, she was running off 100% oxygen.
Yeah.
And, she can only take her mask off to eat very, very little, because she, when you take the mask off, you're just losing a lot of oxygen.
Yeah.
And her oxygen would drop, and it just got to the point where her heart was so weak because she had a heart attack, a year before this.
Mm-hmm.
It got to the point where the lungs and the heart weren't able to, they couldn't fight no more.
Mm-hmm.
And what she said to me was, and I don't know I only know from my experience that it takes every bit of man in you when your mother asked if she could go home.
Yeah.
If she could go home. And it takes every bit of you as a human being to say, if that's what you want to do, I don't want to see you like this. I want to see you do what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And she said to me, I'm always going to love you. I'm always going to look down on you, and I want you to help people that are less fortunate. And I said, help them how? How do you want me to help them? And she said, I want you to help single mothers like I was growing up.
Wow.
She said, I want you to help people that want to do something, but nobody's giving them the voice. I want you to be their voice to get them to do things for themselves, to know that they don't need a man to make them whole. They don't need that. Do women need men? Yes. You need a real man that suits you. You don't need to settle for a man that's not going to help you raise your children.
Right.
That's something you don't need, And I've seen my mother do it without a man. And am I for men that are taking care of their wives? Absolutely. Am I for men that are loyal to their wives and that are doing whatever they can to take care of their family? Absolutely.
Yeah.
I am. I'm all for it. But the guys who just want to make babies and not take care of that and leave them out there to do, come on now.
Yeah.
We got to do better. Mm-hmm.
We really do. That is such a massive undertaking to take on. But I know you're the man for the job. But that's also such a beautiful legacy for your mother to leave behind. It really is.
It is. And I'm not saying my family wasn't good to me. I mean, they were all, whole Italian families.
Yeah.
You might have some problems between A and B, but you stick together. And, and that's what it's about, and that's what men, and anybody who knows me has always known this about me, that when I'm in something, I'm in it. I mean, if I'm in a relationship, they just need to be, just stay loyal. If one thing goes wrong, just, guys or women for that matter, just quick to just get up and run. Everything's so disposable right now, and it's just, the old school values still apply. and they still work. So,
being such a daunting task, where have you started from? How far have you got into figuring out how you're going to do this volunteer work?
oh, I haven't. I got everybody else figured out for me. I mean, no. I mean, there's been a lot of people that's been helping. Tony Stewart is helping down there with Hope Ministries, the shelter that I go to. We can get into that, I guess, whenever. But that, Tina Crump is a great woman helping out. She's a pretty good doctor. There's so many people. I mean, New Vine Ministries is helping me. I mean, organize some stuff, and people are sending boxes from all over the U.S. to help give to the donation. I set it up at where I work at, so they're letting me do whatever I need to do. And Fayetteville Key has been a huge part of what I'm doing.
Yeah. I've seen those go lives where you'll be there at Fayetteville Kia Auto Mall, and you get almost a trunk full of donations every day from coworkers and people dropping them off.
Yeah, my coworkers here are more than coworkers. They're, at this point, this is my family here. I mean,
it's amazing.
It's not a job here anymore. It's not a job. It's not a career. It is, but it surely doesn't feel like one, because when I come into work today, if somebody doesn't have something, you have it. If you need something, I got it. You need to eat, we got it. Like they pull together for people, and they pull together for me, and they're helping me with this movement that's going to start, and it's already started, and they're for it. I mean,
it's in the jumping point, but I think it's going to do amazing things. I really do. And I see you taking care of your ladies every evening. You want to share that with the listeners?
Yeah. It's between down at the shelter at Hope Ministries. It's they're open from 6 at night until, I believe, 7 in the morning, and it gives them a place to shower and eat, and try to find some jobs, and that's another thing I'm doing. I'm helping them find jobs and cell phones and houses, and it's a lot on me, but the women down there they're single mothers that are either homeless, trying to find a place, that went through some stuff. And a lot of guys out here, so many of my friends talk about, they're like, man, my wife is just, I don't know what her problem is. Like, I wanted to go out to eat, and she didn't know where to go. And I'm like, dude, do you think it's that hard to take care of one? I take care of 20 of them every night.
Every night.
From the ground up. It's not that hard. There's things that I know that women don't want, and I was raised by a mom. One is, don't lie to them. Do what you say you're going to do. If you can't do it, don't do it. And give them your time. They're pretty simple.
That's a simple formula, and it's really effective.
Yeah, it seems to work out for me really well. And, and I've had issues in the past. I mean, with lying to women and stuff. I mean, I'll be the first one to tell you, I'm not afraid to say anything at all. And that's how my mother kept me straight, and when you see people that help you get through that, and you start to know God, and you start to figure stuff out, it's, things are different, and it took a while, but it worked.
Yes.
So, and my mom's a big part of that, and she's a big part of these ladies getting the stuff that they're getting now, and they need it.
It's
they
amazing.
don't have the luxury of going and just turning on hot water or going to the hospital and getting a prescription. Like, they just don't have that luxury, and it's up to me and other people to make sure that they get it.
Exactly. And you need more volunteers down there as well, don't you?
Oh, yeah. I'd love to my plans are to redo the place. Like, it's in good shape, but there can be things that can be done. And people always think, well, when you talk about shelters, and you always want money, and no, how about just time?
Yes.
Something that a man obviously didn't give them. That's why they're here.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I mean, let's face it. Let's just call it what it is. If a man is a man that takes care of a woman, she's not going to end up there, because a true man will do whatever he has to do to make sure she doesn't end up in that situation.
Yeah, and some of them have been through a lot.
more than you would ever expect.
Yeah.
I mean, or you might expect. You know,
Yeah.
you never know anybody's situation. I've talked to people who are successful that were, I mean, homeless for months, and they somehow got out of it. They're making $200-300K a year.
Yeah.
It's all about what you want to do. It's all about having somebody to push you to do that.
Yeah, and the opportunity.
Yes. And I tell women all the time, if you don't have a man in your corner that's not lifting you up to do better, you don't need him.
Right.
If they're bringing you down every day, you might want to rethink your situation. You know?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing you're doing to give back to the community, you also go and help feed the homeless as well, and you're also working with the at-risk children at Let's Make It Happen.
Yeah, I'm gonna be partnering up with Swan. I still have to call him and make some arrangements to do that with the youth too. You know, they need some help too. I mean, absolutely. And and feeding the homeless every Sunday downtown, and you know,
So you've cloned yourself several times. That's what you're saying to us.
Yeah.
Yeah. There has to be 2 or 3 Teddy P's floating around out there for all this you're doing.
I mean, it's so hard to get it to be in every spot now. You know how many people I have that text me, "Did you eat? Did you sleep?" Like, no, and no. Like, but my mom didn't sleep when she worked 3 jobs.
That's true.
Right.
That's true. Women are masters of no sleep and getting the kids and middle of the night, taking care of them.
Right.
Oh, and you still have to work. Okay.
Yeah. And I've been there. And you know, and one thing I could say to the guys, if there's any guy listeners, is that, you know, like I do have an ex-wife, and she is a awesome mother. She's a great mother.
That's wonderful.
It just didn't work. I mean, things just didn't work, but she is a great mom to my daughters who are 17 and 14. I mean,
your daughters are so beautiful. They really are.
Oh, they are everything to me. The whole world stops when if they say, "Dad, I need you for something," things are going to stop.
Yep.
You know, and they would too for even my ex-wife. I mean, and when you're grown, you understand stuff like that.
You do.
You know that you know this is the person who had my kids now. Now if somebody's in trouble, I gotta handle
Time
something.
To step up.
If she absolutely needs it, I will do my best to do it.
Yep, you're on.
She would do the same for me. So,
now,
you know, I can't take away that.
Yes, and you understand the multiple sclerosis community and their struggles because you also live with an autoimmune disease. Can you tell the listeners about that?
What, Crohn's disease?
Yes.
It sucks.
Yeah, it sucks. That's the end of the story.
I don't say that, but you know, I started having a lot of pains when I was 22. I was with my ex-wife then, and she had to deal with the blunt of, you know, when I got diagnosed and everything. Yeah. But I started having these really bad pains. I'm like, what is going on? What is this gas problem I'm having, you know? And I kept going to the emergency room. They kept giving me these things called a GI shot where it numbs your stomach and, you know, it takes the pain away. And then it would come back. And finally they ran tests. And then they ran every test you could think of. And I said, I'm sweating at night. Why am I sweating? They're like, well, let's run an HIV test on you. Test me for that. That come back negative. You know, everything comes back negative except for when they said, all right, you need to go see a GI specialist. Because, you know, they didn't know what it was. They didn't know if it was, they were giving me spinal tap. They thought it was meningitis. They thought it was, you know, there were so many things. And it was confusing and scary at the same time. You know, I'm wondering, what is going on? What do I have, you know? Yeah. And there's so many things running through your mind. And when I went and got diagnosed, the doctor came out and he said, you have Crohn's disease. I said, what is that? That doesn't sound good. What is it? I said, you said a name and then you said disease right behind it.
Yeah, this can't be good.
No. So he's telling me and explaining to me what it is. So I've been living with that. I'm 39 now. I've had a colostomy bag for 9 months. At that point, that's when my mom and my stepfather moved to North Carolina to help me out getting through that. Because I woke up from surgery like, what is going on here? What is this? Right. What is this thing? You know, like, get it off me. And That didn't happen.
Yeah, like, can I wake up
that didn't happen.
again? Can I just wake up
Yeah,
again?
they didn't like me responding and trying to take it off for a while.
Yeah, that doesn't work out well.
Well, I was 88 pounds when I went in.
Oh, man.
I mean, I was going into gangrene, and I had these things called fistulas or whatever.
Yes.
I had 2 of them,
yeah.
and they had to do an emergency surgery. So it threw me off when I woke up. And I said before I went to surgery, I said, just make sure I wake back up. Explain whatever it is you're going to do, but wake me up, you know. So when I got up, I wish I was still sleeping.
Yeah.
I did not know what that I was. But
Then the nightmare really begins.
Oh my God! And I know what people go through with Crohn's, because it's like you sweat at night, you get fevers, you get chills, you don't want to eat. Whatever you do eat goes right through you. It's like what? Stop! There better be a bathroom close by.
Yeah.
I promise you, somewhere. Like,
yeah, you have. Well, those in the MS community understand that. Many of us have bowel and bladder incontinence, and a lot of us also have Crohn's disease and other autoimmune diseases. So we get you on that one. We map out every bathroom in the area before we go somewhere.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, like, I went to a show and did, like, a thing about, I wasn't making fun. If I don't make fun of it, I'll dwell on it. But,
right.
I mean, I've had it I'm on a shot called Humira right now, so I'm doing okay. I like Humira. It's very good for me. It worked out.
That's good.
I went to it was a gay club, and I didn't know. My manager at the time didn't tell me it was a gay club. I don't care if you're gay. I have no problem with that. But I didn't know. I didn't have the material for that. I was like, this ain't the place with...
Yeah, my set's not going to play funny here. They're not going to enjoy this.
I said, how do you want me to make all these people laugh? I don't know I don't really know that life, so...
Yeah.
And then I was thinking quick, thinking fast, trying to think quick. So I get up on stage, the lights come on, everybody's clapping. I said, okay, this is where it's going to go down. Like, this is where I'm going to fail.
I'm gonna fly or crash right now.
Yeah. I said, listen. I said, let me tell you guys something. I don't know what it's like in your community. I said, I just know what it's like in mine. I said, the only way I can relate is, I said, if there's any of you guys in here that can take a 6-foot colonoscopy tube, then come talk to me. That's all I got. That's what I can take. So that's all I got for you. And they just lost their mind. Like, they completely lost it. And I was like,
humor is universal.
Yeah. I said, I'm not too far off you guys. I just don't choose to do it, but it's been done. I was like, because my doctor chooses to ram his finger up my rear end every chance he gets, and I never knew that his glasses had rainbow frames on them. So technically, I've been robbed. You understand? I've been neglected here by my doctor, and I think there's a patient relation thing or something. Can you disclose that? Like, when I go in and I'm like, sir, I need a Z-Pack. I have a sinus infection. He's like, Mr. Trainor, lay on your side. I'm like, no, there's nothing wrong back there. Like, I already checked it this morning. I'm good.
And can you buy me dinner first?
Yeah, I mean, dude, what Asian do you know has fingers fat as a doorknob? I mean, come on.
It's special just for you, Teddy. Just for you, to make your life great.
But yeah, so I kind of got through that show, and I don't know how I did it, but I did.
We do it with humor. Yeah, it's just straight up humor. They can relate.
Not that way, but
funny life is funny life, and more of us live with autoimmune diseases than anyone knows, because just like with you when you're working, or just like with me, in the public, so many of us, nobody knows what we're going through. Many of our diseases are, as they talk about them, invisible. They're not invisible to us, but to the general public looking at us, they're like, oh, well, I didn't know you were that sick. They don't have any idea. And so they can really relate. Now, one thing I wanted to ask you about, and make sure that our listeners know, you did something so beautiful the other day that I was watching on your Go Live on Facebook. And you took a little something special to the care team that tried to save your mother. Can you tell everyone about that?
The
flowers.
Wait,
yeah.
What did I do?
The flower. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You're like, I don't know. I'm so wonderful. Was it A, B, C, or D?
I don't know I don't know what I do. I get something in my head, and I'm like, you know what? This needs to be done. And I do it. I was driving to work one day, and all those nurses, because to be quite honest, I went into a like rage mode when the idea was when my mom said she wanted to go home. This is how this is going to lead up to the flowers. When she said she wanted to pass, so, okay, they took her oxygen off, and the person who's helping me, they're kind of getting me through it. Her name was Tina, and she's on my Facebook, and she's a doctor. She's a surgeon. He was kind of with me, making sure I don't snap. And the idea was to give her enough morphine when they took the mask off so she wouldn't be in pain, and then have another dose lined up to where it was going to hurt, you know. And they hit her with a little bit, and it wasn't enough. And she's, you know, I just remember saying, it hurts so bad. And I was like, okay, somebody better have. And I started I said, somebody better have this MS and morphine right now for my mother before I snap. And she went out and hit. I mean, these nurses were on. One nurse had 2 phones up to her ear and two other doctors on speaker. The other nurse was running around the hospital trying to find a doctor who could prescribe that much morphine to calm her down. And this is now, mind you, this was after they clocked out.
Right.
They've already punched out for the evening. Now they're taking time away from their kids, their husbands, their life to try to help my mother live.
Right.
You know, so I thought it was only fair to go up there and give them flowers and thank them for what they did. They were truly crying at the end of their shift and trying to help, and they never do that. They're not, doctors aren't meant to be your friends. They're there to fix you.
Exactly.
You know? I mean, they're there to do the job and get it done. And for them to try the best that they could at their job and not succeed wasn't their, I just wanted them to know that it wasn't their fault.
Yeah.
You know, they weren't, it's not your fault. It's okay. Because God must have wanted her more than I did.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the reality of it.
It is.
They needed to have.
And what a beautiful legacy. What a beautiful legacy she has left in you and her granddaughters and now in this movement. You know, it's just going to be amazing.
Very powerful.
I think it really will be. It's going to grow. It's already touched so many lives, and it's going to touch even more. Teddy, thank you so much for joining us today. We really, really appreciate you being here and getting the word out about this new movement.
You're welcome. I mean, I appreciate it. This has been the first time I've actually got to talk about my mom to people, to put it to where I was comfortable enough to get on there and not lose my mind. So,
well, it means a lot that you spoke with us today. And we will have more information on how everyone can assist Teddy in helping the single mothers. We'll put that on our website, which is www.msmemedia.com. That's msandmemedia.com. So we'll get all that information up for you. You guys will know how you can assist, and we will also keep you updated when there's anything new that comes out, and there's new ways to help, and there's new directives rolled out for the movement. So you guys will be kept updated. So join us again next week here on MS&Me Interviews.